Maaaring baligtarin ang sinabi ng nobelisang Charles Dickens para sa ating kasalukuyang kondisyon. It was the worst of times, it was the best of times. It was the age of foolishness, it was the age of wisdom. Ang Likhaan, University of the Philippines Institute of Creative Writing ay naglalabas ng webinars para sa patuloy na diskusyon ng usaping malikhaing pagsulat, panitikan at kultura sa kondisyon ng COVID-19 pandemic. Meron 3 webinars ito, ang Panayam Lecture Series, mga serye ng usapan hinggil sa craft at politics of writing sa pandemiko, ang ganap o serye ng literary readings, at ang Interdisciplinary Book Forum, ang talakayan ng isang bagong libro ng UP Press ng mga panelists mula sa iba't ibang disiplina. Kasama ang Filipiniana Archive o online book sharing platform para patuloy na makapagbasa sa pandemiko. Ang webinars ay patunay sa pangangailangang magpatuloy ang panitikan at panulat na Filipino, lalo na sa panahon ng pandemiko, na ang panitikan ay esensyal at vital na gawain, lalo na sa panahon ng pandemiko. Nanguna ang Likhaan sa pamamagitan ng website ito, ang panitikan.ph, para ang kanyang mga aktibidad ay mayroong online output. Sa ilalim ng programang Literature for Social Development, maaaring tignan ang mga dokumento, proceedings at video ng UP National Writers Workshop, ng Amelia La Peña Bonifacio Basic Writing Workshop, ng mga dokumentaryo ng senior writers ng bansa sa Akdang Buhay, ng Gemino Abad Seminar Workshop for the Teaching of Creative Writing, ng Saling Panitik, Bienvenido Lumbera Seminar Workshop for Translation, ng Madrigal Gonzalez First Book Award, ang Likhaan o Journal of Contemporary Philippine Writing, at ang Interdisciplinary Book Forum. Maaari rin makapagpasa ang mga manunulat ng kanilang biography at sample works para sa author section. Inaasahan naming maging mahalagang tulong din ang webinars at website ng Likhaan sa mga guro, estudyante at nagmamahal sa panitikang Filipino. Sinasabing writers write in retrospect, kung kailan tapos na ang trauma, kung saan may nilay na sa naganap. Pero meron din sa ating panitikan ng mga manunulat na nagsulat ng ATM o At the Moment, ang Florante at Laura bilang proto-komentaryo at ang mga nobela ni Rizal bilang direktang pagsasakdal sa kolonyalismong Kastila, ang mga sarswelisa ng Tagalog seditious plays laban sa kolonyalismong Amerikano, ang mga manunulat ng literature of circumvention, protest at underground writings sa panahon ng diktaduryang Marcos ang ilang halimbawa. Ano pa man ang desisyon ng mga manunulat, ang mga programang online ng Likhaan ay patuloy na magiging lunsaran ng mga talakayan at panitikan testamento ng ating panahon at pagdanas sa pandemiko. Mabuhay ang panitikang Filipino, mabuhay ang manunulat na saksi at tagaulat ng ating panahon.
Magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. Naririto tayo sa ikalawang bahagi ng Hilam at Hilom Doctors Writing the Pandemic ng seryeng ganap ng UP Likhaan. Ako pong muli si Dr. Joey Tabula, isang general internist sa San Antonio, Zambales at kasalukuyang pangalawang pangulo ng LIRA at board member ng Union ng mga Manunulat sa Pilipinas o UMPIL. Bakit pinamagatang Hilam at Hilom ang episode na ito ng ganap? Hilam sapagkat nahihilam ang mga mata ng mga frontliner tulad ng mga doktor sa matagalang paggamit ng mga personal protective equipment, nagmamarka ang mga mask sa mukha dahil sa maskne o acne dahil sa pagsuot ng mask. Ngunit hindi lamang pisikal ang pagkahilam ng mga manggagamot ngayong pandemya. Mahapdi sa matang tumatagal na pandemya na kumitil sa buhay ng mahigit 20,000 Filipino kasama ang mahigit 70 healthcare workers, ang mabagal na pagbabakuna at ang kawalan ng ayuda sa mga nagugutom at nagigipit na Pilipino. Sa gitna ng pagkahilam ay patuloy ang serbisyo medikal ng mga manggagamot sa loob at labas ng ospital, katulad ng malikhaing pagsisimula din ng mga community pantry ng ordinaryong mamamayan. Patuloy ang paghilom. Ang hilom sa mga Tagalog ay paggaling at sa Cebuano ang hilom ay tahimik. Tahimik na nagsisilbi ang maraming Filipino sa kanilang propesyon na abilidad tulad ng mga frontliner. Ngunit ang Bisayang hilom o ang Cebuanong hilom ay nababasag kung kinakailangan. Kailangang marinig ang hinaing, galit, tuwa, tawa, hinayang at takot ng mga manggagamot. Kailangang maisatitik ng tula o prosa ang alingaw-ngaw ng naratibo ng ating mga manggagamot. Ngayong araw kasama natin ang 6 na manggagamot mulang Zambales, Metro Manila, Iloilo at General Santos City. Mayroong internist, cardiologist, hematologist, medical oncologist, pathologist, nephrologist at nagsasanay ng emergency medicine. Lahat ng writer-doctors na naririto ay naging fellow ng 2020 at 2021 Creative Nonfiction Writing Workshop ng Bienvenido and Santos Creative Writing Center. Kaya naman nagpapasalamat ako sa kapwa aruga ng UP at DLSU sa lumalaking komunidad ng mga writer-doctors o doctor-writers sa Pilipinas. Natitiyak kong yayabong ang panitikan at paghilom sa paglago ng ugnayan ng panitikan at medisina sa bansa. Bago ko ipasa ang tutok ng kamera, hayaan ninyong basahin ko ang isang tula hinggil sa self-reflexive na pagninilay at paghahanap ng lunas ng mga manggagamot lalo't may pasyenteng pumanaw. Napapanahon ito ngayong may pandemya ng COVID-19 na isang bagong sakit at nito lamang nagsisilitawan ang mga posibleng lunas at bakuna. Paglisan. Paulit-ulit nasasawi ang manggagamot. Nililisan niya ang sariling katawan at inihahatid ang kanyang pasyenteng pumanaw sa patutunguhan. Hawak kamay nilang sinusundan ang nakasisilaw na liyab at tuwing dumarating sila sa upungan ng langit at lupa ay bumibitiw ng kusa ang manggagamot. Hanggang dito na lamang lagi niyang pamamaalam. Pagbalik niya mula paglisan, sasalubungin siya ng alingaw-ngaw ng huni ng mga naulila. Kinagabihan, sa liwanag ng kanyang silid, bubuklatin ng manggagamot ang sarili niyang libro. Mapakukunot noo. May hinahanap-hanap, ngunit tila wala pa roon. Maraming salamat po sa inyong pakikinig at nawa po'y ma-enjoy ninyo mga susunod pang pagtatanghal at keep safe po mula sa COVID-19.
I am Sue Lochnen, a practicing cardiologist, and I have been teaching in medical school for more than a decade now as well. I wrote this piece at the end of the semester as I reflected on the many difficulties this pandemic has brought to all of us. Allow me to share it with you today. The Storyteller. It has always been my belief that we are all teachers in deeds and thoughts, and that we teach both good and bad lessons. The latter may be inadvertently in the course of us meaning to do well, or us thinking that we meant well. I do not know if I was indeed destined to teach professionally from the start. I remember tutoring my sister Yen when I was barely 10 years old. She often fell asleep during our lessons, so my younger self never thought I could keep a class awake, and as such, did not see myself in front of one. But I do love storytelling, and teaching is one elaborate manner to tell a story. I have found that teaching keeps me studying, keeps me young, and also allows me to be optimistic about the future. It also gives me an audience who does not have any choice but to listen to me, them being captive rather than captivated. I have discovered how deeply rewarding it is to see former students excel in their arena and become better than myself in so many ways. I've often felt fortunate to witness how young tentative doctors evolve into confident lifesavers. I have always thought that teaching enriches my life more than it positively affects any other individual. But teaching during this pandemic has been a test of resolve, ingenuity, and above all, my Wi-Fi connection. I do not have anything but unbridled admiration for those who did it every day for the past year and will still do so for the next months. I also marvel at how both teachers and students can stay in front of the screen for hours on end. My listless self can't wait to be free from my chair after just 2 hours of sitting in front of the monitor. I did feel that the past months were not one of my stellar moments as an educator. I had to be absent for some time due to a family matter, had to teach haltingly from my car and from the floor of an operating room, and had to frustratingly draw the heart on a piece of paper and flash it on the screen awkwardly to drive home a point. So it was with utmost surprise that my preceptorship class for the semester ended on a happy and sentimental note. While a student played the piano on the background, one by one, each of my students spoke about how attending the class meant to them, and how simple phrases such as, "Who did you vote for? Kamusta na kayo? Nabuburo na ba kayo dyan?" went a long way. From my pandemic class, I renamed them the one who made me cry. Grabe ang alikabok sa kwarto ko that day. The incident made me both happy and sad. Sad for all the missed opportunities when I could have done the same random acts for others, and happy to know that it is simple gestures that truly matter, even in this day and age. 15 years in the academe seem a short time compared to how long my mentors have been teaching. There were indeed instances when I have honestly thought of stopping and channeling my kinetic energy towards other endeavors. But for no profound reason, I stayed on. Maybe quitting was one of those things that I say I will do, but never will. Now I pray that I will not be tempted to leave until it is time to do so by virtue of age or years in service. I now realize that it is my love of people and the human connection which fuels my teaching. Although I do aim to teach the science and art of medicine, it will always be the stories in between which will stay and fuel my soul. Thank you.
Kamusta? Ako si Noel, taga Coronadal, South Cotabato, pero ari ako subong sa General Santos City. Isa ako ka-internist, hematologist, kag medical oncologist. An essay of mine, Driving Home on a Moonlit Night, seeks to find meaning in the constancy of death and dying in my practice. Please allow me to share a few excerpts with you. Things get even more surreal every time I drive home from General Santos City to Marbel during late evenings when only the moon glow illumines most the 60-kilometer stretch alongside undulating cornfields and pineapple plantations, tranquil towns and cities in deep slumber. I usually wind up my clinic late in the evening and driving home becomes my day ender. There in the car, at a cruising speed of 80 kilometers per hour, I often ruminate on the day's events and their meaning. Entering the Poblacion, I survey the landscape and imagined for one fleeting and inadvertent moment how this busy commercial district once resembled a vast, verdant paddock that my siblings and I used to consider our playground, where my siblings and I used to run around catching grasshoppers and dragonflies, or hunting spiders, or playing hide and seek with our beloved mongrels on warm summer days and with neighbor friends on moonlit weekend evenings. Summers then were quite punishing. I remember the times when brownouts were frequent. We had to stay outdoors often, under the trees, beside a brook, or at an uncle's farm. And the start of the rainy season was a welcome relief. The heat was more bearable, and the constant pouring in the afternoon was an invitation to run around in complete abandon. Since most roads then were unpaved, we had individual paddles in the middle of the street that became exclusive wading pools. But sometimes I had issues with the beginning of the rainy season. The grasshoppers and dragonflies became rare, Sightings of spiders were sporadic. Times spent with friends became scarcer with the onset of the rain. In my adult life, especially in a profession that exposes me constantly to death and dying, I have learned that the changing of the season is a necessary part of life. That's how old things make way for the new. That's how the world remains fresh and bright. People dear to me have died. Inday, my younger sister who chased butterflies and grasshoppers and dreams with me in our field of joy, perished in a plane crash 20 years ago while on her way to a medical mission in Cagayan de Oro City. A good friend and a colleague had just died from pancreatic cancer that has resisted even the most advanced targeted therapy. I had the chance to take care of him for a few weeks and wondered how things as dreadful as cancer could happen even to the best and brightest among us. Someone famous once wrote, "I will love the light for it shows me the way, yet I will endure the darkness for it shows me the stars." I cannot speak of any greater sibling devotion than what Inday and I shared, or the unyielding tenderness Annalisa had for Ben. The seasons have destinies of their own, much like my beloved Horntown, or my sister's untimely demise, or Ben's long drawn-out struggle, or the chorus of crickets after the rain, and the abundance of grasshoppers and dragonflies in summer. I can no more prevent them from transgressing what small piece of comfort remains in the darkest hours than I can nurture them to the fullest in the greatest of days. Stepping out of the hospital that evening, I had the opportunity to appreciate the moon's fullness in a bleak coronadal sky. It quietly taught me that as the moon reflects the sun in the utter darkness of night, an unlocked heart brings hope, love, and joy to those struggling in the shadows. I had come to realize that in the face of my vulnerabilities and heartbreaks, my patients and their families appeared like moon in my night, bequeathing a glow that made my struggles easier to move through, my burdens lighter. So I have to rely on memories. My hometown, when the creek was teeming with fish, the fields were a playground for grasshopper hunting. My sister Inday waving an excited goodbye before boarding that plane and muttering a poignant and bittersweet "see you soon" to help me ease through the cold crust of belting rain. And in most cases, even when I know that this is never enough to assuage the burning pain in my chest, I pray. In her book Illness as Metaphor, Susan Sontag wrote, quote, "Illness is the night side of life, the more onerous citizenship. Everyone who is born holds dual citizenship in the kingdom of the well and the kingdom of the sick. Although we prefer to use the good passport, sooner or later each of us is obliged, at least for a spell, to identify ourselves as citizens of that other place." Unquote. I would want to be beside my patients when the bad passport is called up. My patients and their families, my fellow doctors and healthcare providers have constantly taught me that to be a truly caring person, one can rise above all the shadows, constrictions, and judgments of others without denying our person. When I honor friendships or simply relationships, I constantly rage against the assumption that this life is merely a cold, dark, and barren satellite high above the orbit. Instead, much of the moon that illuminated my sky for many nights, I say thank you to those who reflected what I always knew about the fullness of life and the goodness of God. Love and joy have always been there all along, becoming truly incandescent in the darkest of my nights, in the gravest of my days. Salamat Ded, halong kita tanan, kag maayong adlaw.
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Celestine Trinidad, and the piece I will be reading today is entitled Mahal Kong Anak. This is an epistolary piece, a letter based on my own experiences, particularly when I tested positive for SARS-CoV-2 virus during a routine testing with RT-PCR in our hospital. Although I have changed some names and details for privacy and took a few creative liberties. I was asymptomatic at the time, And it did come as a surprise to me because as a pathologist, I wasn't directly exposed to COVID-19 patients. And I hadn't come into contact with anyone who was sick. Even though I had no symptoms, every day I felt that anxiety that maybe I would get worse. And on top of that, things were getting worse for our country each day. It still is now. In the piece, I talk about how I dealt with the feeling of despair that was slowly beginning to creep in at the time. Because by writing about it, I also wanted to help people find that hope, to keep fighting and working for change. Because we deserve better than this. Our children deserve better than this. Mahal kong anak. Pasensya ka na. Oo, alam ko, dapat nagpapahinga ako. Nung tumawag nga si Dr. Lazaro para ibalita na nag-positive ako, sinabi niya na bukod sa pag-isolate sa sarili, importante rin na makapagpahinga ako. Maaari nga raw na asymptomatic ako ngayon, pero may posibilidad pa rin na lumala ang kondisyon ko sa mga susunod na araw. Pero ang hirap kasing hindi sagutin ng mga tumatawag pa rin sa akin, kahit habang may sakit ako. Gaya ng mga kamag-anak natin. Kanina lang tumawag si Tito Robby mo. Kasi nag-positive daw sina Lola Clara at Lolo Lester. May lagnat na si Lola Clara at si Lolo Lester naman nahihirapan na raw huminga. Pero walang ospital na tumatanggap sa kanila. Puno na kasi talaga lahat. Nagkakaubusan na rin ng gamit at gamot. Naipila ko lang sila sa ilang mga ospital. Wala na akong ibang magawa kundi ito, kahit na doktor ako. Yun lang, at ipagdasal na hindi sila lumubha habang naghihintay. Halos lahat ito ang problema ngayon. Pero makikita mo sa balita ang tungkol sa isang mataas na opisyal na hindi kinailangang maghintay bago siya ma-admit. Diretso pa sa suite room. Mailan pang mga opisyales na nakakakuha ng ganitong VIP treatment. Hindi lang sa pagpasok sa ospital, pero sa lahat ng ibang bagay, sa testing, sa bakuna, hindi rin sila kinukulong kung lumabag sila sa quarantine. Hindi ko maiwasang magalit dito, sana naiintindihan mo anak. Sabi nila, tanggapin na lang natin. Lagi naman ng ganito ang sitwasyon natin. Hindi na ito bago. Pero hindi ko kayang pumikit habang nakikita ko ang kahirapan ng iba. Mga pamilyang walang makain, mga nawalan ng trabaho at ng pagkakakitaan. Ni ayuda galing sa gobyerno, wala ring nakakarating sa kanila. Tapos ang mga taong gusto lang tumulong, inaakusahan pa ng pagiging komunista o terorista. Ilang beses ko nang naisip kung kaya pa ba? Kaya pa ba natin? Kaya ko pa ba? Tayo-tayo na lang ang gumagawa ng paraan. Nagsasalita rin tayo laban sa lahat ng kamalian at katiwalian na nakikita natin. Pero parang wala namang nakikinig. Paminsan, nararamdaman ko na ang kawalan ng pag-asa. Baka tama nga silang lahat. Wala na tayong magagawa. Wala nang saysay ang lumaban. Kapag nararamdaman ko ito, anak, sumasagi sa isipan ko ang sinabi sa akin noon ng isang taong minsan naging mahalaga sa akin. Pagkatapos ito ng nakaraang eleksyon, na nanalo pa rin ang mga kandidatong alam naming walang mabuting pagbabagong madadala sa kanilang mga posisyon. Pareho pa rin, ganun pa rin. Sinabi ko rin noon na baka panahon na para lumisan, sumuko sa isang labang hindi naman natin maipapanalo. At sinabi niya sa akin, may susunod na eleksyon pa. May magagawa pa tayo. Gumabay sa iba. Ibunyag ang katotohanan. Pabulaanan ang mga kasinungalingan. Para sa susunod, mas tama na ang pipiliin nila. Kung hindi tayo ang gumawa nito, kung hindi tayo ang kumilos, sino pa? Paano na ang kinabukasan ng mga kabataan ng mga magiging anak natin? At naisip kita, anak ko. Alam ko, hindi ka pa naman napapanganak. Baka nga hindi pa nga kami nagkakakilala ng daddy mo eh. Pero para sa iyo, patuloy pa rin akong lalaban. Patuloy pa rin akong kikilos para sa mabuti at totoong pagbabago. Pero oo, para umabot ako sa hinaharap, para makasama kita, magpapahinga muna ako. Kasi hindi rin naman masamang magpahinga muna, para may lakas na magpatuloy. Magpahinga, pero hindi susuko. Tandaan mo rin ito kapag naharap ka rin sa laban na katulad nito. Kasi maaaring hindi matapos sa amin. Pero kinaya ko. At alam ko, nakakayanin mo rin. Kasi anak kita. Lagi mo ring tandaan na mahal kita. Nagmamahal, Mommy. Thank you for listening. If you like this piece, I have written some other works in multiple genres and working on a couple of other writing projects. You can check them out on my website. The short URL is bit.ly/celestrin. So that's bit.ly/celestrin. And thank you again. We're getting through this. Stay safe, everyone.
Good day, everyone. I am Dr. Ray Isidro, an adult nephrologist. This narrative was written initially as a Facebook post on March 21, 2020, a few months after COVID-19 started sweeping across different countries like a scythe. We could not fathom the human potential lost because of this scourge, but we should not be remiss of the sacrifice and heroism of our doctors, nurses, and other frontliners. This piece is dedicated to them. You wake with a start, disoriented. You realize you're in bed, staring at the ceiling of either the hospital you work in or its dormitory. Outside, the early birds squabble like old biddies, and the incoherent sounds of the morning had begun. For a few minutes, you find peace. Then you start recounting the days. Being a fellow in training during the COVID-19 pandemic is exhausting, not just physically, but in the steady but subtle decay of the senses until everything is blurred away in a haze of languishing apathy, much like when you peer at the world through slitted eyes, brimming with unshed tears. The country has descended into chaos, the acrid taste of fear mixed in with the bedlam. Politicians and the people have begun taking sides, hurling insults and claiming injury. And there you are, right smack in the middle. You gather yourself, reciting your plan like a mantra, finish specialty training, start medical practice, and hopefully live comfortably. Your family deserves it after all. You walk towards the emergency room building, making a detour for the verdant foliage nearby. There is this thin, straggly cat who hunts in the vicinity that waits for you. It's missing a left eye, and there's a bald patch on its back from a previous mauling. You see it half hidden in the santan shrubs, hissing malevolently when you crouch down. Carefully, you unwrap a portion of fish you've saved earlier and throw it halfway. The feline skittishly steps forward and eats in place. This daily ritual is your normality that serves to anchor you before the whirlwind that is the ER sweeps you away. After tediously donning your personal protective equipment, you step into the emergency room. Immediately, a gaudily dressed lady, smelling of yesterday's sweat and makeup, launches herself at you, screaming and flailing her arms. Her husband is seated in the corner, laboriously drawing in his breath. You try to elicit pertinent information, but instead, she screeches the names of politicians as an answer. The tirade continues, melding into the background noise. At the window, an avian free-for-all breaks your reverie and brings you to the present. It really is time for you to get up, and you try to, but you can't. Alarmed, you imagine chains pinning you to the bed. But there are no chains. Your hands are free, but you can't lift them. They remain immobile despite your efforts to will them to move. You try shouting out for help, but no sounds come. Now you realize it isn't the insistent chirping of the birds, but the mindless chittering of the ventilator machine as it methodically pushes in precious oxygen to your lungs. The tears start to flow, and for once, during this ordeal, you're happy there is still something your body can do. So in the cold, sterile ICU, you noiselessly cry, praying for your family, hoping for your colleagues to persevere, and for the beloved country to survive. After a while, eternal sleep, like a fog, silently pulses in, its tendrils insistently tugging at the edge of your consciousness. For a blissful moment before you draw your last breath, you see your cat beckoning, patiently waiting at the bushes. In your pocket, you find some of the fish you saved, and so you walk towards it, your steps light and airy. Thank you and good afternoon.
Dinggin mo akong ugong ng estatiko sa radyo. Kapag lumalangit-ngit na ang madaling araw, sa bigat ng mga katawang binutas ng mga ligaw na bala ng pagdurusa, sapagkat wala nang pinipiling panahon, walang sinasantong lugar. Itong mahabang orasyon ng dalamhating umaalingaw-ngaw na kinig ng mga nagsasabagting na buto. Hindi pagdakila sa makukunat na kalyong minanhid ng paulit-ulit na pagpunit ng balat, kundi pagsamo. Anito ng laman. Anito ng dumadanak na dagta, anito ng sapal, at ng lahat ng nasasalat at sa makatuwid ay makasusugat, pundihin ang lahat ng ilaw. Paghariin ang dilim, kung hindi maititikom ang humahangangang hapdi. Bulagin na lamang ang lahat ng tumititig sa tinik at sa mga hiwang namumukad na rosas sa dibdib at tinatawag itong rikit at tatawagin itong lusis sa halip na langib. Sa makatuwid ang bayani ay kimpal ng pagdurusang magiit. Balantukang sugat ng paulit-ulit na hagkis ng iniindang hapis. Halimbawa, bayaning pinasan sa balikat ang buong mundo. Halimbawa, bayaning dinilaan ng apoy. Halimbawa, ang ulilang mandaragat matapos ang halimaw na bagyong naglubog sa nilula ng barko, ang kawalan niya ng kakayahang makauwi. Mingaw, at ang dagat-dagatang umaalimbukay sa loob ng mga baga na di kailanman matutuyo. Mabuhay ang bayaning naghandog ng katawan, sinasagip ninyo ang aba ninyong bayan. Mabuhay ang mga katulong sa ibayo ng dagat. Salamat sa pangungulilang malalim kong sumugat. Mabuhay ang malalayong kargador at karpintero. Salamat lapnos kayo sa init ng disyerto. Mabuhay ang bumberong pumapatay ng apoy. Salamat sa pasong buling at walang hilo. Mabuhay ang mandaragat sa malalawak na laot. Salamat sakmal kayo. ng lumbay at bangungot. Mabuhay ang mga gurong walang sahod kung magturo. Salamat sa dunong yung naghiyas na dugo. Mabuhay ang mga walang sinasantong periodista. Salamat, tutok sa inyo ang bunganga ng bala. Mabuhay ang nars sa likod ng katawang nasadlak. Salamat sa pagsalok ng ratay na bulwak. Mabuhay ang manggagamot na walang hanap na kapalit. Salamat, langhap ninyo ang kamandag at sakit. Mabuhay ang bayaning pinatay sa pandarayuhan. Salamat sa buhay mong aba at nasaya. Mabuhay ang bayaning pinatay ng sariling bayan. Salamat sa buhay mong dusta at sinaya.
Hanguin ang buhay. Ang bukas. Posibilidad na walang bilang sa putik pagkatapos bumulwak ng dugo. Itahi ang daliri na pinigtal at dinurog sa pinagmulang tuod o kaya ang ulong pinugot. Walang ligaya sa ganitong katawan. Anong luwalhati ba ang susukat makaampat sa pagtagas ng lahat? Tatawagin itong tadhana, itong pagsamsam sa lahat ng maaaring masamsam. Kaya may sasapat bang awitin, may sasapat bang epiko bang alamat upang ibsan ang hapding nag-uod sa puso ni Odiseo kahit na nasa suso siya ni Kalipso sa buong haba ng kanyang paglalagalag? Upang ipikit ang mga nagngangang sugat ni Rizal sa Bagong Bayan, ni Bonifacio sa Cavite, ni Luna sa Cabanatuan, ni Del Pilar sa Tirad, ng bawat Pilipinong naghimagsik ng walang pangalan, may sasapat bang anuman, laptop, telepono, telebisyon, anumang nabibili upang itindig ang tahanang inaanay ng pagkawalay, upang patagin ang mga taong naipon sa mga mata ng mga iniwang mahal na hindi makilala sa malaong pag-uwi. Walang ligaya sa ganitong katawan, natadtad ng punglo at ng pag-asam, dahil wala nang mauwian. Hayaang limutin ko ang mga saknong, kung ang ibig sabihin ay muli kong madarama ang yakap. Sa ganitong bingit, ng sapilitang paglundag, tinatapalan ko rin ng taludtod ang mga alaala ng lahat ng pilat kong inipon. Itim na ulap ng COVID, mistulang usok ng bulkang nag-aaso, mulit-muling sumusugat sa nagbabalantukang baga, ang tining ng mga gabing walang katapusang pagsalat sa ugat, sa danggandam, sa gilagid at sa tumbong sa pagamutan ng pakiramdam na madudurog ang sariling katawan sa tindi ng pagod. Ang lahat ng bigong pag-ibig, ang lahat ng kantsaw at pag-upasalang balaraw at alingaw-ngaw ng rehas sa mataas na paaralan, ang bawat hagkis ng talahib habang dumadausdos pababa ng putikang bagnos ng kubling bundok at pagkatapos ay pagdadagtain sa mga taludtod. Kung maibabalik sa langit ang hiwa ng liwanag, kung maiuunat ang lukot na gunita, burahin na lang ang ngalan ko sa lahat ng itinula. Sapagkat hindi na maibubuhos pabalik ng ugat ang dugong bumahid na sa lupa, hayaan ang ginhawa, anito ng laman, ng sapal, ng lahat ng yumayan, higat nangangatal, gawing ahas ang inyong 1,000 dila, hayukin akong pitasin ng nahihinog ng bunga ng katwiran, o kung hindi katwiran ay ang ginhawa, ipagpanggap na may kahulugan ng lahat, na namuhay ang angkan ko sa pulo ng talim, dahil nasunog ang bahay na bato sa morong, ay upang maisulat itong mga saknong ilang taon makalipas ang mga bayoneta, habihan ako ng kasaysayan ng ginhawang ibinubukal ng mga itak, musika ng mga bulalakaw, epiko ng mga guho, matiim na sanghayan ng 2 uhaw na nagbubungkal ng hinahakang balon, ang maliliit na himas ng ambon, gawin akong ampon ng tadhanang naglalalang ng alindog sa gulanit niyang mga kampon. Bukas, gigising akong hindi pa rin naghihilom. Iisa nga ang batas. Lakas sa lakas. Katas sa katas. Dahas sa dahas. At ito ang alamat kong isinisilang na ungol. May pinagmumulan ng lahat ng ito, na ang lahat ng pighati ay may arkitekto, ang mangkukulam sa pulong na bibihag ng naligaw, ang pulutong na nagtututok ng riple ang general na lumagda sa utos, ang pangulong pinapatay ang sariling general, ang pangulo ngayong laging himbing habang nagugupong katawan ang sariling bayan. Maglalakad ako sa pagitan ng mga tinik. Mananatiling dilat sa mga nabubuwal na gusali. Habang nakatutok sa sentido, ang ripling nagbubulong ng bayani ka, bayani ka, bayani ka, bayani ka, bayani ka. Mamatay ka na. At iisipin kong sige, ibulong mo yan. Kung may bayani ay meron ding kalaban, kaya pipigain ko ang lahat ng sugat hanggang maging ulan ng poot, hanggang maging karit at palakol ang isusulat ng mga taludtod, na kung taglay ko ang hapdi ay taglayin ninyo sa gayon ng takot. Tandaang ungol akong garalgal sa estatiko ng radyo, uusal ng kulam na magimbal, hanggang hindi pa nagpipiging ang mga langgam sa bangkay ng lahat ng nagluluwal ng hilahil at kamatayan. Sa bayan itong mayaman, sa bayaning ang tanging karangalan ay ilibing. At pagkatapos ay luhaan.